Python has got many versions since the Python journey started from 1989. So we have many versions. Currently, we will be talking about Python 3.x. So this is our first session. Today here we'll understand what is Python, how it is different from other programming languages, what libraries we'll be having in Python, and how this can fit with applications, real-time applications, which we work with big data, machine learning, data science. So this Python is very popular in those business domain or application domain. Let's start with the Python. Python history we'll see first. Directly jumping to technical will not help us. First, we'll see when Python started. As I said, this journey of Python started since 1989, and it got popular after 2010. Reason behind Python popularity is machine learning and data science. And nowadays, we're using this with artificial intelligence, deep learning, big data, Hadoop, at many places, along with the Spark, uh, which is a real-time fast data processing tool. Okay. Now, Python is said to be a functional programming language, as in it supports the functional programs and it supports the object-oriented programming also. If I relate object-oriented programming, I can say Java, C++. These are your object-oriented programming language where we work with a principle. We have different kind of modifier. We have a exception handling, file handling, different collection concept. Okay, those are part of your OOPS programming. So if I write down all the principle of object-oriented programming, first principle of object-oriented programming is going to be a class. Second, object. Third, inheritance. Fourth, polymorphism. Fifth, encapsulation. All has a several uh, properties which are certain types of OOPS principle. Uh, they're dependent from, they're different from each other. They're not a same thing. But this example we have extracted from the real life. Okay, how we are using this concept in our day-to-day basis as a human, how we can live a life from morning to evening. This is actually brought from the same concept. So if you want to relate this OOPS with all the principle, you can actually start looking for some real life example. Book explanation or text information, if you read, you can understand for now. But again, for long run, you'll forget what this class, what is this object, how they are related to each other, etc. Encapsulation is a fifth principle. And last principle is a abstraction. I can use all of this OOPS concept with Python definitely because Python supports OOPS along with a functional programming language. Now, if you ask me what is this functional programming language, apart from Python, there is some other languages also, which I can name a couple of them. Ruby is known as a functional programming language. Groovy, which is compiled in JVM library, Java Virtual Machine, that is also a functional programming language. Okay, Swift, Haskell, all these are functional programming, which means we have ready-made functions. They are very rich. They are very rich in terms of functions. So we can call them as they are having inbuilt functions. They're having inbuilt functions. We use this ready-made functions or inbuilt function and try to achieve our application requirement, what that application is asking. Now, suppose the requirement which you have, it does not have any inbuilt function or it does not find any inbuilt function in Python, then you have to create your own function, which we call as a user-defined functions. And user-defined functions, you'll be writing using your own logic. Okay, using your own logic, and that logic you can apply with your OOPS programming. So in nutshell, we can say Python supports functional programming as well as OOPS programming. They have got just one limitation. that the private behavior is not fully supported by Python, because we have private and public behavior, which I'll keep in the modifier side. What do we mean by private and what do we mean by public? We'll see this example as we go forward in this further course curriculum. So this is a quick difference between functional programming and object-oriented programming. Now, how it is different from these languages? So Java, C++, Scala. There is third language, which is nowadays quite popular along with Python, which we call as a Scala. So all these three languages, definitely whatever you're doing in Python is doable in other languages also. But the line of code which I'll be writing in Python is less than this OOPS programming. So if it's like if I'm writing 5 lines of code in Python, I may be writing 50, 100, 70 lines in other OOPS programming. So this is the ratio between your line of code also. So obviously if somebody give me one option that you can achieve the same output in 5 lines and second person says you can achieve this output in 50 lines, I'll go with the lesser number. And obviously the code is more concise, more elegant, executable, easy to read, easy to write, and so many other functional properties we have in Python. So let's kick a start with Python, what we're going to learn as a part of this and how it is helping us to understand further application. Now within Python started in 1989 and nowadays company who are using Python, I can actually name some big companies who uses them. NASA is using to send their satellite, as in they're using to send instruction to their satellite using Python code. Then recently, in fact, Indian Space Research Organization has also started using this. YouTube source code is built on this. Google is using it many places. Raspberry Pi. So Raspberry Pi is a hardware which we use in IoT, Internet of Things. This is again built in Python. We apply Python here. NSA, National Security Agencies, they're using Python. Then Netflix they're using Python for their videos. There are so many companies, guys. This is just a popular ones I'm writing. There can be n number of other firms who are using this Python in any other form. Now, in Python, we are going to first understand about Python keywords in identifier. So our curriculum starts from here. What are the keywords we'll be having and their identifiers? How to define any variable? What is their set of rules? Second, we'll see their comments and multi-line comments. Multi-line comments. Third point, we'll talk about different data points. How do you deal any data in Python? What is their respective data type? Fourth, different operators. Here we'll find total 7 operators. Fifth, we'll have conditional expression. We'll have total 8 different types of conditional expression. I'll go in detail with these operators when we see that module in our course. Okay, today I'm just writing. First, I'm writing the point which we're going to discuss as a part of basic Python. So here we'll have total 8 different conditional expressions. Sixth, we'll see how to create a functions or how to use inbuilt functions. Seventh, function as a type, argument type, lambda functions, inbuilt functions, recursive functions. All these are coming inside the functions. Afterwards, we'll go in detail with this data point. Mainly, I can call that as a collection of element using different data points such as list, then tuple, then set, dictionary. Point number 8, there's a space, I'll write it here. Here we'll understand their internal algorithm using the time and space complexity. Time and space complexity. Ninth will understand how to use this algorithm, how to check their trade-off. After getting the time and space complexity, we will understand how we can use their libraries. So from 8th to 9th part, libraries will be included in Python. These are not basic Python. So library number first is NumPy, numeric Python. Second is Pandas. Numeric Python, we are mainly using this for mathematical manipulation, 1D, 2D, ND. Pandas is good for reading a file, any types of file, CSV, Excel, JSON, Parquet. You can read this serialized format also using this Pandas text file. Third, we'll be using this for visualization purpose. That is Matplotlib. And fourth one is Seaborn. These four are major library. Once we get this Python, then most of the Python is already known to us. We can start learning this concept of oops then. How we can do exception handling, file handling, how can we write our own classes in Python, and some other activities. Now, what is the final objective here? To learn Python and where to apply this Python. So we are applying this Python in data science. I can write on a statement here. Python functional programming language will be used with machine learning. The course name for machine learning is a data science. Will be involved in a scientific process to understand the data and mimic a model based on the process. So there we'll be using this Python to send instructions to transform, to multiply, to operate my values using some operand, and we're performing some activities on this machine learning side. So that's the place where Python will come. Now, if I write data science or machine learning, actually they're having total 4 categories. If I write the types of machine learning or how many things we're going to cover in this part. So in machine learning, let me highlight this area. In this part, we're going to cover total 4 things. First, we'll start with the Python. Second, we'll learn statistics, which is quite a lot of maths using descriptive inferential statistics. Third is we'll be using some library to understand this. So those part of your machine learning along with linear algebra. So after learning this statistics, we'll even learn few parts of linear algebra also. After completing this 3 part, then 4th part is your cloud computing, where we'll be deploying this. So we can apply AWS, Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud Platform, and Microsoft Azure. These are the cloud platform where we can deploy our model and test them. Now we just warmed up how we can start Python and where we'll be leading after knowing this Python, what will be our final step. So let's start with the first part of Python, which is keywords and identifiers. We'll be using 3.x version. Specifically, this version is 3.7.2 in my machine. So we know when they started, why they're popular, what things they're supporting, and how many companies are using, what topics we have, and it last where we'll be using this language with our business applications. Now, here is our Python keywords and identifiers. Now, basic things I'll start with here. This is our first Python sheet. We will be needing some workspace to work with. Let me explain you that also. What all the workspace you can download in your system. You can use this in your local system also, or you can directly use the cloud platform also. Cloud will be little tricky to create it. So first step, I can say you can download Anaconda. This is the famous Python workspace. In Anaconda, you just have to type Anaconda download in Google. Let me actually show you that. So you can open this and type here Anaconda download. When you type this, you get a first link, individual edition. Scroll down, you'll see option here, download. If you click on this download, automatically your download will start. Or maybe it will ask you, you want to download for community edition or paid edition. So go with the free version of software. For individual user, this is free. Now here, once this is downloaded, install it. After installation, you will get one link to open Anaconda. You can search for Anaconda in your machine, and then you'll get, when you open this Anaconda, you'll find Jupyter Notebook. Jupyter Notebook. You'll have to click on this Jupyter Notebook and your Jupyter will launch. It will ask some browser to open, maybe Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, whichever you have in your system. If you have multiple, it will ask you which one to opt. You can choose any one and open this textbook. Then you can start writing your own lines of code, just like this. So suppose you started this first and now you want to build your thing. So this is what you will get once your Jupyter is started, and then you can go to new and click on this Python 3. One new sheet will open and then you can start like this. So here some basic code is already written. We'll see this code first, how we are writing, and the same thing you can execute or run in your own machine. Now, second workspace, Anaconda is often referred as IPython. So IPython stands for interactive Python. Okay. Second one is a PyCharm. This is for, because Anaconda, if you're installing anything, the software is not there. If you're installing anything, it needs the internet. That's why we're calling it the interactive Python. But PyCharm will not require any internet running all the time. You can install once, then you can use anytime later. So this is good for offline. This is good for quick and shorthand use. So up to you which one you want to use. I'm using currently Anaconda. I have used PyCharm also for project creation, for multiple packages, multiple classes. If you're writing typical loops programming, PyCharm is better. However, the course of data science you can achieve using Anaconda also. Okay, so I can take anything. I'm not saying this is good, this is not good, or PyCharm is better than Anaconda. You can opt as per your requirement. You want to build a complete project, or you're just writing a file by a file. Starting with the keywords and identifiers. So first is a keyword. Let's read this, what keyword says. Keywords are the reserved words in Python. So whatever is keyword, we cannot use them as a variable in Python. That's what it says. We can't use a keyword as a variable name. Remember, this is very important. Function name or any other identifier as a variable. Keywords are case sensitive. Okay, so whatever keywords is defined by Python is case sensitive. You cannot use them in uppercase or in lowercase. Whatever is defined in prior, will be using it, and mostly they are all in lowercase by default. So let's see the cell number first, and here we'll see import keyword as KW. When I type this import keyword, let's read all the line one by one. Since my version is changed, so let me write this 3.7.2. Get all keywords in Python from this. Import keyword as KW. Now, if you ask me what is this keyword, right? So what is import? We'll read every line. This import is a keyword. It's a predefined keyword. Okay. I can give you one hint. If you see something in green color, that is your defined keyword. If you see some text is written in a green keyword, green color, it's a defined keyword. So import is a keyword. Keyword itself is a module. So I'm calling this keyword as a module. I'm taking this module and giving one alias name. So this AS stand for alias. It's like a nickname. So you're giving KW as a nickname for keyword. Okay. After giving this, you want to print how many lists we have inside this keyword. So you are giving, you can see it here. Suppose you do not remember them, no problem. Here 1000 and 1000 of functions are there. So from all the module, we cannot remember all the function. We should know their smart use. So if I type KW, which is my alias, and dot and tab. So from my keyword, I'm using, from my keyboard, I'm using tab option. If I type on tab, I can see the suggestions. I'm looking for KW list. I'll pick this up, and in my third line, which is a second print statement. So this print and this print itself is a inbuilt function. Print, I can say it's inbuilt function. Okay, what do you mean by inbuilt function? Python has given us. This will list me all the keyword, and then in the third line of print, I'm writing number of keyword present in Python 3. So whatever is going within this double quote, you can see there is a double quote and there is a double quote. Whatever I'm writing within the double quote, it is like my statement. I can write anything here just to format my answer. I can write anything else here. I'm writing number of keyword present in Python 3. Okay. Let me write this as number of keyword present in Python 3.7.2. So whatever line you want to write as a format, suppose you're printing someone name, so you can say the person name is this. Okay, so your answer is more expressive. Anybody can see and get what this print is for. So within this double quote, I can write anything, and then I'm using there a function called len. If you ask me what is this len, len stand for length. kw dot kw list. This kw is my alias, and this kw list is this thing, keyword list. So it will actually tell me the length of the total keyword list. How many total list is there? 30, 40, 50, 60. That number I will get, okay, in a numeric form. That's what this length function does. Whenever you type print, you see the output printing in your console. So this is the console, okay, of your Jupyter. Whenever you write anything in the cell, you get the answer there. That's terrific. So print is giving me this answer, this bracket open and this bracket close. Whatever is the name here, those are my keyword. And now whatever statement I was reading, that keywords are result words in Python. So these are all results in Python. You can't make any variable name and assign some values to it. You can't make this defined in names. So why we have this restriction? Because Python has already created this for you. So if you create it, the overriding option can start. And those overriding option, they have disabled it. That's why they threw one exception, one error from their kernel. So avoid writing the same keywords. I'll tell you other approach also how to avoid it. Currently, let's focus. These are total 35 keywords, and I'm able to see the number 35 because while checking the length, it shows me that there are total 35 keywords in this. That's the reason I'm saying there are total 35. Let's read this, how 35s are there. So starting from here, false, this is 1, this is 2, none, true, and, as, assert, so on till, if you read till last, this is 35th. So total length is 35. Keywords which are defined is also 35. Okay. Now what do I mean by this second line and third line? We'll see. Identifiers. So keyword is clear. These are all reserved keywords. Identifier. Identifier is the name given to entities like class, functions, variables, etc. in Python. Okay. Because if you just type a number, If you say 10, next time when you need this 10, how can you call this? So you have to assign this value to some variable. That's what we call identifier. You'll have to assign this thing to some variable so that you can remember. Next time when you need 10, you can call this X. That's what is written here. Rules for writing identifier. Identifier can be combination of letters in lowercase. So you can use anything in between A to Z in lowercase, anything in between A to Z uppercase, anything between digit and underscore. Okay, so underscore only this is applicable from special characters. All your hash, exclamation mark, then double quote, or maybe single quote is not required for your variable creation. Only underscore is required. Then second line, if I read, an identifier cannot start with a digit, which means I cannot say 1x is equal to 10. However, I can say x1 is equal to 10. So digit you can mix, but it should not be before any variable. It should not start with a digit itself. Then you get exception. So this is the second rule. Your variable will start with uppercase, lowercase, or underscore, but not with a digit. Keywords cannot be used as identifier. As in, I cannot write AS is equal to 5 because this AS is my keyword. This AS is my keyword. You can see it here. This is my fifth keyword. So since this is defined already in this list of keyword, I cannot use them. Moving on to the next. If I define this, okay, so let's see some set of rules here. If I, one second, if I write this, this is definitely, this will definitely work because underscore is acceptable before, after, anywhere. If you try to write global equal to 1, or let me write is equal to 1, you can see this is coming in a green color, which means this is the defined keyword. And if I try to print this, this will throw me some exception. We can read that exception. It says syntax error. So since this is our first class, we should remember this error and exception also. Whenever we get this error, we should make a note of this in some file. So this will help you when we jump to a step of exception handling. We'll see how we can handle this error and exceptions. Okay, so this cannot work in fact all 35 keywords, okay, which are there, all these 35 keywords cannot be used as a variable. That's what is your identifier explaining in these three different lines. We cannot use a special symbols like this. As I said, you can only use one underscore from a special character, nothing else, only underscore. If you try to use this, this also gives you exception. ABC, end Z, you're trying to give a variable name, but end is there in between, and hence you get the exception. So this is pretty much about your Python keywords and identifiers. Next, we'll see. And if you want to close this line, you can go to File and Python comments. Comments are lines that exist in computer programs that are ignored by compilers and interpreters. So before reading this line, let's see what is this comment. Okay, so comments we're writing for two reasons. First reason, suppose I'm writing a code of 100 line and I open that Python file again after, let's say, 6 months, and I forgot to remember, as in I couldn't recognize what this line is written for, why I have created this code. So I'm just adding one comment, like starting from hash, I'm adding one comment that if I open next time, I should know why this code is written. Second, I can pass a comment for other user. I'm working in one project, maybe after 1 year I left that company. Other few people join to work on the same project. If they open a file, they will not understand why this code is designed, what this is doing. So if I add comment, it aids 1.4 readability. People start reading them more carefully. Okay, this is what is there in your line, Python lines and comments. So Python gives you two options, one single line comment and multi-line comment. We'll start with the single line comment. And let's read this description. Comments are lines that exist in computer, and yeah, by the way, suppose you're writing 100 lines of actual code and you have written 10 lines of comment. So 100 lines of actual code and 10 lines of comment just to express what you're doing in this code. So this line will not be considered by your compilers or interpreters. Compilers will outrightly ignore this. So compilation time is not decreasing, first of all, because this line is ignored. This is for user, this is not for system. This is for us. Second point, including components in program makes code more readable for human. You can read this. This is just explanation, what I have explained you just right away. So for single line comment, we have hash. For multi-line comments, we have single quotes 3 times or double quote 3 times. Okay, so for comment, hash is a single line comment. It's a single line comment, and 1 2 3 and 1 2 3. This is a multi-line comment, or even you can do this 1 2 3 1 2 3. This is also a multi-line comment. So single line 3 times or double line 3 times, double quotes 3 times, both will work absolutely. Here we are saying this single line hash, if this is there, this is a single line comment. So if you just given this is a testing file, then you can see here single quote 3 times, single quote 3 times. In fact, I can do this. Instead of writing the single quote 3 times, I can write this and cut this, test it here. Both are exactly the same thing. So this is the multi-line comment and this is the single line comment. Now I'm printing one statement within the double quote, which means this is a string. Hello Python. It is a print statement, that's why you'll get this output in console. Multi-line comment you can write this way also. You can write single line 3 times also, whichever way is fine for you. Then this comment is helping for some set of document also, because if you type docstring in Python, now what is docstring? Docstring is a document string. We can read this thing as a document string. Now in document string, we have few options: module, function, class, method definition. But why we need document string? Suppose I have created one function part, we'll see in another module. Currently we'll see if I have created a function. Okay, how to create the function, that is a different scenario. You know, there is a one function in your class or in your project, but you don't know this function is doing what, why this function is being created. Okay, I'm asking why this function is being created. So docstring actually will help us to find out why this function is created. If somebody has given a comment on the function, so I'm writing one comment on this function, that this function is for subtracting two individual element. I have created, I know that this is the subtract method, but if somebody else is reading my code, they will not understand it. That is why we are passing one statement where we are saying this fun is for subtracting two individual element, A and B. Okay, so this function is for creating for this purpose, and we are writing within this within this double quote, which means this is a comment only. So you are using two things. You're using a comment within the function, so that if somebody wants to read what this why this function is being created for, they can check using this sub function. So this sub is a function defined by whom? Defined by user, not by Python. So user has defined this sub, and then user is checking this sub using the inbuilt function. This is the inbuilt function. Underscore underscore. There's a 2 times underscore doc underscore underscore, and then you're calling this function, which is function sub. Okay. So what we're writing, that's a different case. We'll see that in a separate module. I'm currently focusing on this statement. This is the 3 times double quote, which is your multi-line comment. Okay. And you're using this multi-line comment within the function so that you know why this function is being created for. This function is for subtracting 2 individual element. Whatever is written, you will be getting that. After this Python indentation, in Python indentation, okay, so let me take very basic example of Python indentation. Actually, indentation is a big thing here in Python. What they say, if you are writing any line, okay, suppose I have given this for I in, this is kind of one loop, okay. Now I'll not explain you what for loop is doing, what range is doing. I'll only explain you this thing here, indentation. Most of the programming language like C, C++, Java use this braces. So people who are coming from other background, they know already the use of this parenthesis. But in Python, we do not have this. In Python, we have indentation. Everything starts from indentation and ends with indentation. A code block starts with indentation and ends with the first unindented line. The amount of indentation is up to you, but it must be consistent. Last is important. Generally 4 white space. So if you're writing this line number 1, you've written something in line number 1, and you want that once this line is executed, once this first line is executed for I in range 20, then and then only it should go and check the line number 2, and if line number 2 is also right, then and then only print this. Otherwise do not go inside the loop. Okay, so instead of writing this parenthesis, what Python says, you can give 4 spaces or a tab. So here you'll find there are 4 spaces. So after this line, I have written 4 spaces, which means if this line is true, if this line is working, so immediately it will go to check this line. Now I can say this if loop is a part of for loop. This is what it means. So 4 spaces are there or 1 tab, and this print will only work when this if line is executed. So here you have for condition, then if condition. So for is having one condition within if, and then if is satisfied, then it will take this print statement. In nutshell, we can say this is having 4 spaces from the line. This is having 8 spaces from the line. 4 spaces from 8 spaces from for loop and 4 spaces from if loop. And that's what is indentation. Because if you do not take care of indentation, you will get issues like anything. So always remember, whenever you write anything, you need to have this parenthesis. Try creating indentation, just 4 spaces or a tab. So this will define your hierarchy. This is actually hierarchy. For loop, if is a part of for, print is a part of if. This is what it means. You can see again, I say 4 space here. Then after if, there is again 4 space. So print is from this line 8 and if is from there 4. So this is how this thing is working, which we are calling as an indentation. So I'll take this indentation, this for loop and other thing. If you're interested to know what is this, why, what they're doing, how this answer is coming, I'll explain this part in conditional expressions. Just bear with me. Python statement. We'll see this Python statement. Instructions that a Python interpreter can execute are called a statement. So if you type a is equal to 1, a is equal to 1, a will store 1 value. So a is my variable and 1 is a value of this a. if you want to write multiple numbers for A, okay, let's say you have total 8 numbers and you don't want to fit in a single line, you want to write in a multiple line. So there is a forward slash. This actually forward slash tells you that this is in continuation. So other line 4, 5, 6 is a continuation with 3. The 7, 8 is in continuation with 6. So it reads actually from 1 to 8, the whole statement. So I can read it as continuation. This is in continuation. So print A, you'll get the output as 36 if you add this number. The addition part you can do. So these are different approach. You can write one thing, you can write multiple thing. If you don't want to give this parenthesis, which is a continuation sign, then you can use this bracket. So starting with bracket, ending with bracket, it will consider all this element as a part of one variable. Now, if you want to write all thing in one line, so there are 3 different elements which are indivisible. Obviously, you can say a is equal to 10. The semicolon is a terminator here. So this will terminate your 10, then start b is equal to 20, terminate c is equal to 30. So instead of writing, actually I can write this thing in 3 lines also. Let me do that in different cell. I can do this like this also. Okay, so both are fine. It's just a representation how you're writing things. If a, b, and c, all 3 variables are having the same value, you can define them as a is equal to b is equal to c. In single line, you can actually define a is equal to b equal to c. All these 3 are having the same value as 10. And when you type a, b, and c, so all will return you the same output. And earlier you have defined b 20, c 30, but here you're getting 10 and 10 because this has been overwritten. This 20 and 30 has been overwritten by the latest value of b and c, which is 10 and 10. So this is what we call overwriting. This is pretty much your concept of identifiers, keywords definition, variable assignment, comments, multi-line comments, how you can assign these values to a variables.